Hey everybody, welcome back to my series of videos in my bathroom. I'm getting really real with you here today. I wanted to talk today about something that I think, a lesson that's been really surprising to me. And I gave this talk a little bit ago for a MOPS group here in San Diego. And I wanted to share just one part of it with you guys today. The title of the talk, when I came in, people are like, we were really wondering what you meant by the title. The title of the talk for today is The Gift of Resentment. It's something I've written on about before for Simple Homeschool, and I wanted to talk about it today in the context of parenting, but also just about life, because honestly, resentment is a gift that applies to all kinds of different situations in our lives. So by way of background for this talk, I am a homeschooling mom, and so a lot of people assume that I came to motherhood naturally, that I was one of those kids that just loved babies, that I dreamed about being a mom when I was little, and you really couldn't be further from the truth. I definitely wanted kids growing up, but my one stint of babysitting in about junior high, a neighbor asked me if I could watch her little kid, and she had a 6-month-old baby, and I thought, sure, watch the kid play, do some homework, great. My first day there, I was in about hour 2 of watching this child who was cheerful and generally lovely, and I thought, how can it be so tiring just to sit with the baby? I couldn't read. If I turned my attention away from him for even a moment, he started fussing. And when it came time for it to be his nap, he would not fall asleep. I've been told, lay him down at this time and he'll fall asleep, and he was fussing and crying, and I didn't know what to do, and I thought, where is his off switch? Like, what do I have to do to get this child to be quiet? So imagine me as a new mom, for the first time having a baby of my own. And honestly, I had a lot of baggage coming into motherhood. And when I had my first daughter, Lucy, I struggled. I struggled a lot the first year. She was a generally very healthy, happy baby, but she didn't sleep well. And I started suffering from postpartum depression, which I didn't realize I was suffering from until about a year later. I remember a moment when she was about 1.5 years, and it was bedtime, and the lights had been out for a while, and I was laying next to her hoping that she would fall asleep. And she was touching my arm and laughing and talking to me, and I felt like there was this muffler of resentment over my face, wrapped tight around my neck, because it wasn't just that night. It had been years now of very little sleep. She still was waking up super early in the mornings, and sometimes waking me up in the middle of the night. And I felt horrible, because here I had this healthy baby that I had longed for, who was wonderful, and yet I just felt so resentful of her needs and her love for me. And at the time, I really thought that I was just a terrible person. That if I felt this way about a sweet, healthy baby, that I was really beyond the pale. But the truth is that looking back, I learned some stuff about myself from that awful feeling. You know, I have a lot of regret about those first 2 years with my daughter. I really regret that my poor daughter was used as a guinea pig as I learned how to be a parent. I have a lot of regret about not being more patient and kind with her, but the biggest regret is that I did not take my own resentment seriously enough. That instead of seeing it as a gift, I saw it as a sign that I was a terrible person. I really do believe that resentment is a gift. I believe that when we take it seriously, it has a lot of wisdom hidden inside of it, and it has lessons to teach us. So I have one gift that resentment gives us to share with you today, and I'll probably share some of the other ones over the course of a couple of other videos. The first gift of resentment is that resentment helps you pay attention to your limits. I really thought that I should shove resentment where the sun don't shine, that if I was feeling it, I was a terrible person and a terrible mother. But the truth was that when I started seeing resentment in a new way, I saw that it was actually like a big flashing warning sign that told me I was headed in the wrong direction. I think most of us in our society have kind of a cotton candy view of motherhood. We assume that mothers just somehow magically get handed this endless well of patience and love, and that only bad mothers ever run out of those things. We think that somehow just becoming a mother will make us care less about our own needs, and that's true up to a certain point. I definitely found that motherhood transformed me into a different person, even from one day to the next. But it really is also a process. It's a process and it's a practice, and it does not happen by magic. And if I pretend that I have that endless well of patience, if I pretend that I'm a saint or a robot, that I'm really going to run into a wall sooner or rather than later. Resentment tells me about that wall is coming. Resentment tells me to be realistic with myself. It tells me to lower my expectations on myself. It tells me that I'm really not actually willing to go to the lengths that I'm telling myself I'm willing to go to. If we start being frightened of our own resentment, if we think that it means that we're terrible people, then we're not going to listen to it, and we're going to start running roughshod over our own needs. With my second kid, not surprisingly, I got a lot wiser. I realized that postpartum depression was not something to trifle with, that I needed to take care of myself because my marriage and my motherhood and my own sanity were in danger if I didn't take care of myself. So my ideal, up here was to be the super crunchy, perfect attachment parenting mama who breastfed on demand and co-slept with my babies until they were 4. But the honest truth was that as much as I love attachment parenting, I'm a lousy sleeper, and I did not do well being on demand for my kids all night. I have friends for whom that worked wonderfully. For me, it didn't work so well. And with my second child, I held on to those ideals, but realized about 6 months in that I was headed for a cliff. And the reason I knew that was because I started resenting my younger daughter too. And I started resenting my older daughter and also my husband. But this time, instead of stuffing my feelings down, stuffing my resentment down, I decided to pay attention to it. And I sat down with my husband one night and I told him that I was headed for a cliff and that I needed some help desperately. So we made some changes. They were not easy changes, and they certainly did not live up to the ideals that I had set for myself, but within a week, I was getting more sleep. And I was suddenly a much better mother to both of my children, and I was a better wife, and I was also kinder to myself. Sometimes, though, sleep isn't our reality. Like, maybe your reality is that you get plenty of sleep, but you're really resenting the demands that school puts on you. Or I had a friend who was homeschooling like I do, and she felt resentful of the burdens that homeschooling placed on her. I've had neighbors who resented having to go back to work. I've had friends resent giving up their careers to stay home. There's all kinds of ways that resentment can creep up, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution for all of us. But I do believe that the more we can pay attention to what we're resentful about, the more we'll learn how to take care of ourselves and how to actually be truthfully loving to the people around us. Because resentment, by helping us pay attention to our limits, helps us to be true to ourselves and to other people, both inside and out. It helps us to have real integrity in our lives and how we live it. That our words and our ideals will actually match up to our actions and our hearts. And that, my friends, is a huge gift that resentment gives us, even though it comes in an ugly, very fearful package for all of us. Anyway, I hope you're having a good day today, and thanks for joining me for this short video.